Factor by grouping is a method for factoring a certain type of trinomial, so something that has three terms. And the way that we do this is we multiply the coefficient of the x squared term by the constant term. So 2 times -5 is -10. Then we list out the factor pairs of that number. The factor pairs are -1 and 10, 1 and -10, -2 and 5, 2 and -5. And we look for the factor pair that adds to -9, the middle term. That factor pair is 1 and -10. So we split the -9x into +1x and -10x. And rewrite the other terms. 2x squared plus 1x minus 10x minus 5. And now we group together the first two terms and the last two terms. And we look at what the greatest common factor between each of these pairs is, or what do they have in common that could be divided out. Between 2x squared and 1x, they have an x in common. So we could divide both terms by x and we would get 2x plus 1. The second two terms, -10x and -5, have a -5 in common. So we could divide by -5 and we would be left again with 2x plus 1. Whenever we do factor by grouping, this should happen where we end up with the same term grouped, or the same polynomial grouped, 2x plus 1. After that, our answer in factored form is 2x plus 1, that shared polynomial, multiplied by the leftover terms on the outside, x minus 5. So 2x plus 1 multiplied by x minus 5 is the factored form of the original polynomial. Let's do another example. (24) x to the third plus 4x squared minus 4x. This polynomial is going to have a new step at the beginning where we can factor out a GCF from the very beginning. If you notice, all of the coefficients could be divided by 4, and all of the variables could be divided by x to the first. So we could take out or factor out 4x from this polynomial. And we would be left with 6x squared plus 1x minus 1 by dividing each term by 4x. And now we repeat the same method from example 1. Ignoring the 4x out front, we multiply the x squared coefficient 6 by the constant term -1, which is -6. And then we list out all the factor pairs of -6. That's -6 times 1, +6 times -1, -3 times 2, +3 times -2. And we look for the factor pair that adds to x or 1x. So we're looking for the pair that adds to +1. That is 3 and -2. So we split that middle term into +3 and -2x. And we're going to rewrite everything else. So we have the 4x out front, and then 6x squared plus 3x minus 2x, and then the -1 at the end. And now we group the first two terms in the parentheses and the second two terms. The first two terms have a GCF of 3x. If we divide both of those terms by 3x, we would get 2x plus 1. The second two terms have a GCF of -1. If we divide out -1, we would get 2x plus 1 again. So we have that whole thing in parentheses with the 4x we took out at the beginning in front. And now we can continue to group these terms in the middle. 2x plus 1 is in common. So in the parentheses, that's going to turn into 2x plus 1 multiplied by the leftover terms, 3x minus 1. And then we have this 4x out front. This is the fully factored form of the original polynomial.